Well, hey there, it's Monday and time for Monday Mastery. I'm author and dating coach Rick Sodebeer, and we're here to talk about dating and relationships. And tonight's topic is going to be, are you trying hard enough or are you trying too hard? And I've already had a couple of comments earlier today on that, on the announcement of the topic, and so it's kind of gotten a little interest. So I'm also trying to do something different here or with my arrangement so that I'm not quite getting so much reflection off of my glasses. So maybe I have to get special glasses or something. I don't know that I don't reflect the computer screen. So anyway, I hope you had a great week and a great weekend last week, and it's hopefully where you are, you're going to have some awesome weather, just like we are here in Alabama. And so let's kind of get going tonight. Let's just move on. Although one thing I will say is, if my voice is a little scratchy or a little raspy tonight, it's because there's just a ton of pollen in the air, and it's Hey, Addie, happy Monday to you too. Thanks for being here. There's just a ton of pollen, and I can already feel it affecting me today because I've had the doors and windows open and inhaling that stuff all day long. So, anyway, the question for today is, are you trying too hard or are you trying not hard enough to find your soulmate? And there is a fine line. And I find that fine line can sometimes lead to the appearance of, if you're trying too hard, the appearance of being needy or clingy or just insecure that you need to have somebody in your life. And the flip side is, and I had one person respond this morning that said she was just done looking. And I guess that's fine if you truly have decided that a relationship isn't for you. But if you believe that you want to have another relationship, you can't give up. And Addie says, when I was trying hard, it came off as desperate. And that's exactly right. And that's my point. You come off as needy, as desperate. You got to have somebody in your life. And it's just not, it's just not healthy. And that's why when I talk about getting emotionally healthy and being emotionally mentally ready to date, a lot of it comes from the standpoint of being in a headspace that you're comfortable being alone. Doesn't mean you don't get lonely, but you're comfortable being alone. You're comfortable with your own company. And when you can get to that point, when you can live out your daily life, living with the knowledge that you may or may not have a new love in your life or a forever love, you start dating from a whole different mental perspective. Your whole attitude shifts. You stop trying to be with the wrong people. And I was listening to a conversation over last night, or a recorded conversation between two guys, and it was Jay Shetty and Brendan Burchard. They had a conversation, and it was a little over an hour long. They were talking about Jay Shetty's new book, and I forget the exact title, but it sounds like a pretty decent book. But it's a lot of what I've been teaching you guys over the last several years. And one of those things is as Addie put it, is to not come off as being desperate. You don't, when you get to a spot where you're comfortable with your own company, you're comfortable being alone. It doesn't mean you don't get lonely. It just means you're comfortable being alone. You can live comfortably that way. You start dating from a position of power. You start dating from a position of I get to choose. And that becomes the ultimate position to date when you're dating from a position of weakness, or I need to be in a relationship. I have to be in a relationship. I have to have somebody in my life. You have that desperate air about you. It it just makes you susceptible, number one, to making bad choices. It makes you susceptible to being used, and generally for sexual purposes or financial purposes. There you come off when you're desperate, when you're trying too hard, you come off as having to have this relationship in your life, and the partner you're going after really just sits back and does nothing, or does very little. They'll expect you to do everything because you are so desirous of this new relationship, or any relationship, that they have to do is sit back and let you do everything to make the relationship work. And that's not a healthy relationship. That's the definition of a one-sided relationship. If you're that person, you're doing all the work. Well, get out. Just get out. You deserve more than that. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't come across somebody that, oh man, they just light you up. They just, oh, it's like they are. Well, in some respects, they are your soulmate. The downside is you're not theirs. And when you get into that one-sided relationship, it's just it just sucks the life out of you. It sucks the energy out of you. And after a point in time, you get to a spot that you get tired of trying, and you get frustrated with relationships. And Addie says, yes, I agree. I feel I have the power and control these days, and it feels awesome. Took me some time to be comfortable with my own self, but now I'm in such a better place. Awesome, Addie, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's you get to a spot, or to a point in life, that, like Addie says, you're in control. Addie's in control. She gets to decide who she dates and who she doesn't. And there's no greater position to be in. Addie's not accepting dates just to go out, just to be with somebody, just to try to find someone to hang out with. Now that doesn't necessarily mean to say that you can't have a date with somebody new and go out as friends, or go out and do things, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get into a committed relationship, or try to get into a committed relationship with someone that truly isn't right for you. And that's really the greatest, in my opinion, and I don't have any scientific fact to back this up, but in my opinion, that's the greatest cause of divorce, is that we choose poorly. And when we choose poorly, either out of desperation, or a lack of self-confidence, or a lack of self-esteem, or whatever it is, when you settle for somebody that pays you the littlest amount of attention, and say, oh, he loves me, da da da, and then all of a sudden the tables seem to turn, and he doesn't care, and well, it's because he realizes he's in a relationship that is not exactly what he wants or she wants, and then all of a sudden you recognize that, wow, this turned south real quick. And the whole idea is to spend your time up front searching for that extraordinary relationship. And it doesn't mean you have to come across as being desperate or needy, but you need to have an active role in your dating life. It means you have to be out, you have to be social. You may need to be online and doing the online dating thing. And I know a bunch of you are just saying, "Oh, no, not online dating." But yeah, it's a tool. And it's like I've used this reference many times. It's like hiring a carpenter to add a room to your home and then telling him to leave a third of his tools in the truck. You know, it doesn't make sense. Now, if we're going to talk, and if I veer off into online dating, most of the problems with online dating come from you not paying attention. It comes from you not recognizing the warning signs of scammers or catfishers, or the bottom dwellers, however you want to phrase it. The guys that only have 3 teeth, or have no shirt on, or are in bib overalls, are dirty, the house is a mess. And ladies, this goes for you too. I see I see some atrocious profiles, and people constantly tell me, "Oh, there's nobody online. There's nobody online. There's nobody worth finding online." Well, there are people worth finding online. It's just you have to scroll through a lot of garbage to find the profiles that are of interest to you. There are so many poorly done profiles, and I want to write to people. Some of these are so bad. I just want to write to them and just explain to them that how terrible their profile is, because you just one look and you swipe to the next profile. And don't put yourself in that position. Use good photographs. One of the things that gets me is, or that turns me off, and everybody has their own preferences, but I'll share a couple of my preferences, in that if you're gonna post a picture of your pet, if you're going to post a picture of your vacation, if you're going to post a picture of a painting or a photograph, make sure that it's something that it's not your profile photo. Your profile photo should be it's going to give anybody looking at your profile a first impression. And to me, you're not giving a first impression if it's anything but a picture of you, and preferably a headshot. Kind of, this thing. Standing at a distance, sunglasses, poor lighting. Any number of things can make that a poor picture. You need to think about the photographs that you're using. And again, online dating is just a tool. Answer the questions in the profile. Don't just jump on to see who's there and be in too much of a hurry, because you end up leaving too many things blank. When you don't complete the essay part, when you don't complete as many of the applicable questions, it leaves gaping holes, and it doesn't it's not conducive to drawing in the people that you would like. So and you don't need to be desperate to be online. 20 years ago, it was, oh, you really got to be desperate to be online. If you can't go out and find somebody, you really have to be desperate. And it was really looked down on. And then slowly but surely the tides have turned, and we all know people that have met online. They've there's it's a major source of finding somebody great to date. And it does take some of the legwork out of it. I mean, you still need to go out, and you still need to be social. You still need to connect. You need to talk on the phone. You need to meet. I mean, there's still some legwork in it, but it's not like, having to go out every few days and being social, trying to find some place to be social. Hey Phil, thanks for joining in. And yeah, it's I saw Kansas City was pretty much the same weather as we're having here. Addie says, and when you don't complete, when you don't complete, it makes it hard for someone to really start a conversation. Absolutely. Although, and here's the caveat to that. If they've got good pictures, you can start out a conversation saying, and depending on which site you're on, if you're on a site like Bumble, you both have to connect, but it can be, it can lead to opening questions like, these profiles are limited in what you can share. Tell me something about you that's not in your profile, or you didn't say much in your profile. What are you looking for in a relationship? Are you open to long distance dating? Are you just start asking probing questions like that. And many times you just won't get an answer for whatever reason. And that's okay. It just means that either they're busy, they don't have time, or they may have started seeing someone, or they're burned out on it and they're not paying attention to the website. Don't worry about it. It gets frustrating to send out 20, 30, 40, 50 messages and get very few responses. But that's all part of the dating process. Now, I'll tell you that one of the other dating locations that gets a lot of heat is going out to bars. And I'll tell you, I had a great time this weekend. I went out to a well-known establishment down here. It's called Floribama, and it's kind of a cool place. They had two bands going at the same time, and they the bands alternate their starting times. So when one goes on a break, the other's playing, and vice versa. And then when one band ends, another one comes in. But my point is, there was a wide variety of people there. And it was a couple of different types of music. One was a little more lively rock, and the other was acoustic rock and kind of mellow. And it was easy to, in both places, it was easy to either start a conversation or to walk up and ask someone to dance. And ladies, don't be afraid to ask a guy to dance. I hear, hola, Maria, and thanks for being here. I hear a lot of people complain, or a lot of ladies complain about not wanting to initiate a conversation, about not wanting to ask a man to dance. Ladies, if you've ever read the Bible in the book of Ruth, Ruth had to make the first move on Boaz. Oh, so it's even biblical that women had to be the instigator because guys can be dense. Hey Terry, thanks for joining in. And Terry says I asked a guy to dance before, awesome. See, and it didn't kill you. You're still here to talk about it. So, ladies, Terry's a great example. But the other the other part of this is when you ask somebody to dance, and depending on the type of dancing that you're doing, if it's a slow dance, you may get a chance to strike up a conversation, say, "Hi, I'm Rick, and where are you from here?" And in this area, there's a lot of people that are here for just a short time. Some people that were there are there full time, but it's the ability. It's the ability to talk to somebody face to face, because a lot of you say that I want things to happen organically. Well, for it to happen organically, one of you has to start making comments or has to make an approach. You have to ask someone to dance. You have to spend time getting to know them. And the only way you can do that is by stepping outside your comfort zone. I'm assuming it's your comfort zone. And I know it can even be awkward for me. There was one gal that I danced with, and we had one dance, and there was another good song on, and I turned around and looked at her and asked her to dance. She says, "No, not now." And I didn't take it personally. It wasn't personal. She didn't want to dance, and that's okay. You're what some people don't always recognize is you're not asking them to get married or to go steady or to go to dinner tomorrow. It's just you're asking them to dance. Addie says, what's tough in dating? Having the same conversations over and over again, like telling someone what I do for a living, how long I've been single. It's like interviews over and over. Easy to get burned out. It does, but you have to take monthly breaks from dating. It does. It can get it. You can get burned out on it, but again, it's all a state of mind. And I get the same way, Addie. So please don't misunderstand me. But it is a state of mind, and when you get to that state of mind, it may be it's time to change something else, to change something up, to go someplace else, do something different. You might go to the zoo, or you might go to the museum and just be meandering through. And if you find somebody looking at something that you also enjoy looking at, you can strike up a conversation saying, "What are we looking at?" Or what do you find interesting about this piece of art? What do you find interesting about this particular artist? And you can strike up a conversation, and they may say, "I've never seen it before. Are you familiar?" And you might, if you're familiar with it, you might strike up a conversation there. But there's always an opportunity if you make one. And sometimes the opportunities have to be made. I could have stood in a corner or sat at the bar all night and just watched people, and I'm comfortable. There are times that I'm absolutely comfortable with that. But I wanted to dance. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to get out on the dance floor, and not that I'm a great dancer, but I enjoyed it. It was something different to do. And Addie said, or Terry says, "Yeah, I lived through it." See. And so there really is no reason, ladies, that you can't initiate a conversation with a guy. You don't necessarily need to ask him out, but you can plant the seeds. You can plant the idea of asking you out. It's like I've shared with several of you that it's in conversations about striking up a conversation and planting those seeds. It's you may say something like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'd love to continue. I'm going to I hate to use the word Starbucks, but I'm going to a coffee shop. Would you like to join me? Or I'm going for a cocktail at 4:30. Would you like to join me? And it's a way to start a conversation and to continue the conversation. And again, I always recommend coffee or cocktails, and it's there's no commitment. There's no major expense for the guys typically, or ladies if you're asking and insist on splitting the bill. Nobody has a major time commitment or a financial commitment. Hey Kathy, thanks for joining in. Kathy says, I'm comfortable being alone now. I've met several nice men and they've been interested in me, but I wasn't interested in them. I keep telling myself I'm not going to meet anyone I click with. Am I burned out? No, I don't know that you're burned. Well, you might be on the edge of burned out, but you've got a crappy attitude. When and forgive me, I'm not trying to be insulting. Let me pull this back up again, Kathy. What you're doing here is you're telling yourself that you're reinforcing the negative, the negative, and you're drawing that to you. You need to turn that. Let's see. I'm trying to see. When you keep telling yourself that you're not going to meet anyone, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because there are scientific studies that show this, that demonstrate this. When you have this negative self-talk, and it's not that you're beating yourself up, it's that you're making assumptions about the future. And if you just turn that around to, I can't wait to meet my forever love. I can't wait to meet my soulmate. I wonder where I'm going to meet my soulmate. I wonder when it's going to happen. You've changed what you're telling yourself from I'll never meet someone to I'm going to meet someone. I just don't know when or where. And that is, Kathy, and again, I'm not trying to pick on you, but when you start telling yourself these stories, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. And there's nothing worse in the world than this type of negative thought process. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because so many of us do that. I do that from time to time. I do that and talk myself out of things, or say, she'd never talk to me. She would never dance. Well, I step out of my comfort zone sometimes and ask people to dance, and I'm using dancing as an example because it's what I did last weekend. But you can ask somebody out for cocktails. And just because you're meeting nice men, and this goes back to something I've said over the last couple of weeks, that you're not looking for a bunch of great guys to choose from. You're looking for that one that's your soulmate, that person that's going to enhance your life. And you don't know when they're going to show up. But when you tell yourself that you're never going to meet anybody, there's a wall that forms around you. It's like a barrier that stops you from being able to meet those great guys. Or it stops you from recognizing great guys that are right in front of your face. And Terry says, I'm comfortable on my own, but I'm still open and optimistic. I will meet my soulmate. If not this year, maybe next. That's awesome, Terry. And it's a process. And it all boils down to how active you want to be. If you want to have a date a month, it's going to take you a lot longer than if you're having at least one date a week. And I know for some of you that's difficult, and that's where online dating comes in. It can be a great way to meet somebody outside of your immediate area, and and allow you to get to know people. And the other part of this is that the more you get out and do this, the more you talk to people, the easier it becomes. And Addie says, you're just not in the right headspace, Kathy. This is between the two of you, I guess. Once you just go to have a good time without the idea of meeting a man, the man of your dreams, it may come. Your aura shines, and that's what your aura. That's a good. It's that's a great term for it. Thank you, Addie. And Addie, you make a good point, and that's actually what this whole conversation is about, is not trying too hard. And and you're going to, and Kathy, you're going to meet a lot of great guys out there, but you're only looking for one. And that's one of the things that I've noticed recently is too many people are looking to find 6 or 7 or 8 guys to choose from and saying, oh, these are all great guys, I don't know how to do. No, you're looking for one. You're weeding through that haystack looking for the needle. And it's more than looking for more than pulling off 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pieces of straw. But if you do it right, you will find your soulmate. I promise you. And Terry says, everywhere I go, I stay positive, smile, and chit-chat with strangers. Awesome. I love that. And that's what it's all about, because you never know what these conversations are going to lead to or where they're going to lead to. And, if nothing else, you might meet some really good people that you can hang out with and do other things who will introduce you to other people that makes it a lot easier to find your soulmate. Addie says, it took me a while to get there myself. Yeah, absolutely. When we're in a negative mindset, it can be really it can be really tough to switch from a negative to a positive mindset, because our natural inclination is to be negative, because we're always looking for the problems. We're always looking for, where is this going to blow up, or what kind of trouble am I going to get into, or how is this going to impact me or what are the negative side effects of whatever's happening. We tend to go through all of these negative thought processes because it's natural. It's part of the survival process. It goes back to caveman days, and it's all the stuff way in the back of our brain, the self-preservation stuff. And when we start putting some of that stuff aside, we start looking at the positive. What are you thankful for? This is something that when you start looking at the things you're thankful for, yeah, you don't have anybody in your life right now, but you've got a roof over your head, you've got a car to drive, you've got clean water, clean air, You probably got groceries in the refrigerator, and you probably got a job. You know what are the things that you can be thankful for? You may have some nice clothes in your closet. You know, you may not have the perfect pair of shoes to go with every outfit, but you know, you make do with what you have. You be thankful. You've got a bed to sleep in. You know, when you think about every one of those things that I just said, there are people out there that are that would kill to have what you have. So when you start the day with, to use the old saying, an attitude of gratitude, it goes a long way to creating a positive impact in your life every day. And I'm going to jump back to you. Hang on one second. The pollen is great here. You know, when you focus on, Kathy, focus on changing your observation of, I'm never going to find anyone, to, I wonder where I'll find my soulmate, or I wonder when I'll find my soulmate. I know he's out there. Where is he? And where is he looking? And that brings up another point. You know, if you have your must-have list and your deal-breaker list, look at your must-have list. What are the things that are on your list? You know, what are things that are important to you in trying to find a guy? And start looking in those in places that you think a guy that you want might be hanging out. Might it be the gym? Might it be the golf course? Might it be the shooting range? You know, might it be a sailing club? Could it be an art class? Could it be, you know, painting and wine? You know, there are a lot of those things, and those are great couples. It could be great couples events. You go and have a good time and have a glass of wine and paint a picture. Anyway, let me get caught up here. Maria says, "Oh, come on, Maria." There it is. Maria says, "You're so right, Rick. Being grateful is key." Absolutely. And hey, Kathy, thanks for being here. Uh, you have a good family too that supports you, and wonderful kids. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Kathy. And Terry says, I love art classes and art galleries. There you go. So, you know, and if you, and Terry, if you love those things, those are things that you should frequent, because there will be single guys walking around there. There will be, you know, the things that you like, there are going to be guys that will do it, or that will be there doing it. And then also think about the characteristics, you know, other characteristics that you'd like in a guy. Again, it could be any number of things, and it's a matter of thinking outside the box. You know, if you don't want to go to a bar, you still need to you still need to be out and visible and social. It's the only way of of being seen. You can't say you can't sit at home on the couch watching TV and say, God will bring the right man into my life. You have to be out. You have to be in church. You have to be at work. And for those of you that work, some of you do, some of you don't. You know, work. I read a study not too long ago, probably 6 or 8 months ago, that the Human Resource Association said that as many as 40% of relationships start in the workplace. And that is an incredible number. I mean, that rivals online dating. So if you're in the workplace, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need to date a coworker, but it can mean you can meet a one of the vendors that stops by or delivers to your company. It could be it could be customers, and some of those situations you have to be a little cautious about, especially dating somebody at work. Hopefully if you're working in a bigger company that they work in a different department, and it's not too much of an overlap. But you may meet somebody that you really like in the same department. You just have to be cautious. You should let HR know and say, hey, this is what's going on. What kind of trouble are we in? And there's not too much they can do after hours, but if you let problems interfere with your work life, yeah, then it's going to end unhappily for one or both of you. So you have to be aware of some of those pitfalls, but nonetheless, there are just a plethora of places to meet people, and you can't you can take a break. If you're truly looking for your soulmate, you will get burned out from time to time, but it doesn't have to last for months. Sometimes it's just a little head adjustment and a little attitude adjustment. Recognizing all the things you're thankful for, recognizing all the friends you have, and rolling from there. And Terry says, I went to awesome. I went to a shooting range with a singles group once. Two women and a bunch of guys. Well, now see, there you go. What better odds do you have there? This is a little scary holding the gun, but a fun time nonetheless. I want to do it more and become comfortable holding the gun. Well, and see, Terry, that's a perfect reason to go back to the shooting range. And you don't necessarily need to wait for the singles group. You can go in and take a couple of private lessons. I've done that. I've gone with not necessarily a singles group, but when I got my license, my concealed carry license, you go through a class, and there were some nice people there. But but that's for those of you listening here, Terry is doing exactly what I'm telling you. And she thought outside the box. She went with a singles group, and lo and behold, there were more guys than women. And ladies, you always complain that there's not enough guys. Well, what better activity to do? Even if it scares you, go and do it. Go and try it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. And Addie says, I work from home a majority of the time. Well, that's then odds are you're not going to meet someone from work there. But the flip side of that is it just means you have to find other creative ways of going out and doing things and meeting people. And Phil says garden clubs or volunteer groups in the area can be fun. Absolutely, I'd forgot about I hadn't thought about garden clubs, but the volunteer groups, man, there's ladies. A lot of times, especially if they're in a lot of times they're church related events that they go out and do work on senior homes or the the underprivileged homes, and just going in and painting and hammering nails and fixing things up a little bit. You can get out there and get your hands dirty, and I'll tell you what, when a guy sees you working on stuff like that, it can be pretty attractive. Sometimes it can be pretty funny, but it can be attractive to the right guys because they see you're willing to get out and get your hands dirty. So thanks, Phil. That was a great observation, great ideas, and see, it's all about stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's thinking outside of the box. And I'll just throw this question out to you guys. What are other places that you've been, or other things that you've done that we haven't mentioned here? You could go skiing. There's this isn't the year to go skiing in around the Kansas City area, but if you have the wherewithal, there are a lot of ski hills around the country that are open, and go with a singles group. You can go skiing, and there's a Kansas City Ski Club. You can join a ski club like that. And just find clubs or groups or organizations around your area, wherever you're at. I know a bunch of you are in the Kansas City metro area, but there's always something available. And Terry says Habitat for Humanity. You can volunteer to hold the nails. There you go. Exactly. But that's how you step outside your comfort zone. You get out and do things that you haven't done before. Experiment. See if you'd like hang gliding, or zip lining, or base jumping, or whatever, bungee jumping. Or even jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. You can do tandem jumps, and if you don't meet a guy there, it will give you a great story to share with the next guy you date. It's just because on the one hand, I would love to try skydiving. But on the other, just to say I did it. But on the other hand, just stepping out that door just terrifies me. Anyway, but this is all food for thought. So there's a fine. It goes back to the fine line between trying too hard and not trying enough, or giving up. It's and Kathy, I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to pick on you a little bit, that telling yourself that you'll never find someone is in essence a form of giving up. Even though you're going through the motions, you're giving up on the fact that somebody is out there for you. And unless you've really just had some horrendous experiences that you're unable to get past, I believe that we all should try to be in a relationship. That's the way God created us. He created us to be in relationship one with another. And he designed us to be a couple, to have a workmate, where you can do things together. You have common goals and interests. So if any of you are thinking of giving up, reach out to me and let's talk. And I'm not going to try to convince you that you have to be in a relationship. It's just it just enhances life so much. But to be in a relationship, just to be in a relationship, is also wrong. And that's probably, and for those of us that are divorced, that's more than likely the overarching situation we were in. We were in a marriage that, we thought it was okay to begin with, and we didn't know we weren't paying attention. And when you look at the statistics, most people are married within 2 years. And you sometimes that's just not enough to get to know people. And if you especially when we're young, we've got the infatuation going, we've got the blinders on, and we're not paying attention to all the red flags, or the deal breakers that we see. We're just excited that somebody's paying attention to us and wanting to be in a relationship with us. And that's not a healthy reason to be in a relationship. It's far better to walk away from even a good relationship if it's not your soulmate, and it's not the relationship that you want to be in long term. And hey, Liz, thanks for joining in. Skydiving's on Liz's list too. Awesome. And Terry says, I have to go watch the moonrise. I may lose connection. Okay, well, I understand. It's the moon has been gorgeous the last few nights. So anyway, if I lose you, Terry, thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next. No, we won't see you next week, because next week is a travel week for me. Kathy says, I definitely agree with you. It's nice to have someone to share your life with. Absolutely. And for me, I can't wait to be married again, but I don't want to be married just for the sake of being married. And I'm hoping, and some of you are wanting to get married again, some of you don't, but I still think that when you find the right person, if you're saying that, no, I'll never get married again, I still think that if you find the right person, when you find your soulmate, you will start singing another tune, so to speak, because the connection is so great. It's so deep, so strong. It's like nothing, like no other connection you've ever had. And most of us, probably at least 70 to 80% of us, have never had a soulmate connection. And so the majority of us don't even know what that's like. And until you actually experience it, you can't even appreciate what I'm saying. You can't fully appreciate it. But I believe we all have multiple soulmates. So it's just a matter of which one you find first. And okay, and thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. And so with that, I'm going to wrap up tonight. And next week, I will be on the road. I will be traveling back to Kansas City for a meetup event. And for any of those of you in the Kansas City metro area, it's a meetup event, and I have absolutely forgotten where it's going to be. If you go to Meetup, Kansas City Singles Mingle, go to meetup.com/Kansas City Singles Mingle. You'll be able to see where the event is, especially if you're a member. And if you're not a member, join, and then you can see all of the events that we have. And there's not a lot going on right now, just our monthly event. But I think we've got about 60 or 70 people signed up, and it's a great way to get out. And it's on Valentine's Day, of all things. Valentine's Day falls on Tuesday next week. So it's a great way to get out and maybe meet your Valentine. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up tonight. And again, next week will be a travel, unless I can make it to Kansas City and in time to set up and do a live event. It's going to be iffy, so don't plan on it. But if I do, you'll get a notice. And then the following week, I'll be live from Ironwood, Michigan, because I'm going to be making a trip up there. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed today. I hope I've shared some information with you that's helpful. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions in the meantime, reach out to me. If there's anything I can do to help you, reach out. Send me a message, and we'll schedule a time to talk. In the meantime, I hope you have a great and blessed week. I will see you in 2 weeks, and I love you guys. And thanks for joining in and for all the great comments tonight.